The Mirror, a review by Geoff, Medium. Stepping out of the norm can be a death sentence. They fear what we have inside. From The Mirror by Tim Bragg. The reverse image in a mirror is a metaphor most apt for the reversal of values and social norms under Orwellian totalitarianism. Today, it seems to me we're surrounded by a big brother infrastructure built up in recent years by technocratic ideologues and now primed for activation. The seeds of digital enslavement have been sown. Tim Bragg, in his new novel The Mirror, Sycamore Dystopia, August 2023, writing in the long and vigorous tradition of dystopian fiction, extrapolates this insidious potential 50 years into the future to 2073 in a meticulous imagining of a soulless technocratic state. I wonder if Tim was tempted to set his novel a little later, in 2084. Look into this mirror, this darkling glass, and we see the image of a frightening future, what the Western world could be like unless its present course is deflected and its freedoms preserved. We find super cities divorced from the natural world, rampant AI, transhumanist programs with experiments into migrating consciousness into machines, a society shared with mechanical biological hybrids which, resembling humans so closely it's hard to tell the difference, spy constantly on citizens within a ubiquitous surveillance system. This dehumanized society is run by the Elk, Earthly Living Kingdom, a controlling elite for whom non-Elkian humans have little worth except for the most handsome and intelligent. History has been rewritten, books and, with language adulterated, use of certain words are banned. Even brushing one's teeth is a thing of the past, replaced by yet another pill. Eventually, the aim was to migrate all of High Elkians into these bodies. If they could reproduce at this point, then Elk would have complete control. There would be no need for other, lesser humans. From The Mirror. But The Mirror is also symbolic of psychological and spiritual depth, not simply reflecting one's appearance in the quotidian, but representing the individual on profound levels of mind and soul, the essence of being. So it's important also to keep this in mind if pondering the title of Tim's book. Archetypal tropes. The futuristic fiction of The Mirror combines elements of both Bildungsroman and Künstlerroman of science fiction in the sense of the many technological developments, I won't say advances, which the book envisages and are commonplace in its imaginary world, and of family intrigue and mystery deploying the archetypal tropes of the equivocal mother and the absent father. Indeed, parental relationships here are key. Significantly, The Mirror also works as a psychological novel of ideas, crucially raising consciousness about where culture and society might well be heading based on current trends. Tim's uncluttered prose and linear plot drive the narrative forward with telling literary allusion and intense and meaningful interaction between characters on almost every page. We meet Mia, a teenage girl brought up in a mirror city, one of a series of digital or smart super cities, and her best friend, Karela. Mia is approaching her 16th birthday and is becoming increasingly aware of the repressive nature of her society, controlled by corporations, guardians, of which her mother is one, and a shadowy government, the hub. All human relationships are compromised. Every citizen wears a mirror device to monitor what they're saying and doing. Yet Mia is still able to discover the art, music and literature of a disowned past, in contrast to that of a time which is computer-generated, as she undergoes a spiritual and sexual awakening which shines a light into the darkness of foreboding. Encountering a member of a secret resistance group, Mia starts to question her very existence, the nature of consciousness, and what it is to be human. In this way, Tim brings to the fore the conflict between individualism and collectivism, the battle lines of which are drawn today in the West, but in doing so reveals how the total in totalitarianism, the reach of the system, can never be absolute, that the spark of the free and vital human spirit will persevere. This was the beauty of being human, to create sound and shape and words. Their greatest gift was to create, but they had to create beauty, not the snaking cities which reflected outwards, where everything disappeared within that reflection. From The Mirror. Probably one could make a case for science futuristic fiction being the most important literary genre. in terms of the proleptic imagination and its dealing with the big picture of humanity and questions of the potential and development of the human race. Certainly many otherwise realist writers, from Wells to Huxley to Orwell to DeLillo, have returned to science fiction to better express their ideas about life and existence, the human condition. The famous science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke argued that science fiction, more than any other form of literature, grappled with the most basic questions of reality and concerned itself with real issues, the origin of humankind, the future of the race. This is why I rarely review new fiction, especially the serious or literary kind, because of its failure to deal with such issues, its existential deficiency, and why I welcome and warmly recommend Tim Bragg's latest work. Human potential. The English existentialist, philosopher, novelist Colin Wilson, 1931 to 2013, believed that science fiction was often better at exploring the human mind and human potential, the ability to achieve increased consciousness than other literary genres, which reflected merely a familiar reality and where characters and events overshadowed ideas, assuming there were any. Wilson, who numbers several science fiction novels among his prolific oeuvre, says the real aim of science fiction, and one that will assume increasing importance in the future, is to serve as a catalyst in the evolution of a new human consciousness. Science Fiction and Existentialism, a personal view in Existentially Speaking, Essays on the Philosophy of Literature, Borgo Press, 1989. He adds that it is only when writing science fiction that my subconscious mind has shown itself so helpful. It would seem that there is something in the medium that appeals to some mythic Jungian level. The Mirror taps into this realm, I feel, as it tackles the questions of human identity and destiny, who and what we are, and where we'll be as our history unfolds. Do we view ourselves merely as biochemical machines to be technologically monitored and pharmaceutically adjusted, or as free universal beings whose true fate lies in a shift from ego consciousness to consciousness of a deeper self, in a realization of a metaphysical reality and of the eternal language of nature? Shouldn't we try and wake people, William asked, ignoring DH's comment. How can we wake them, MH asked in reply. We have to try. Can we go on like this as humanity? We all of us value culture and our past, the little that we have discovered. We've all experienced, damn, what's the word? Transcendence, Ned said, from the Mirror. Tim Bragg is an English author and musician, perhaps best known currently as a drummer and percussionist. He writes novels, The Mirror is his sixth, poems and songs. His short stories have appeared in literary magazines and won prizes. Through writing, he says he tries to highlight the unusual in the seemingly ordinary. His lyrics to live by too, further reflections, meditations and life lessons, and his poetry collection, A Conversation of Trees, were published in 2020. Head and Other Dark Tales, a collection of short stories, was published in paperback in 2023.